and gentlemen, it's me again. I'm back. Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate for basic human rights for all people. That means that you, every last one of you, have the experience of realizing your dreams in these bodies on this planet during these times. And that's it. Also, requested that you write me in as the next president of the United States of America. Today, I want to speak to you on the subject matter, why aren't they listening? to school, how you have to specialize. Let's remove those restrictions so that you want specialized care. So let's get enough people in medicine to give you that specialized care. Open up those doors. Move out those restrictions. Let everybody get involved in America. Move the restrictions. Your aim is to make sure that every American has access, can get, and control